A few days ago, I came across this question on Reddit. Does anyone else feel kenopsia in video games? This post was posted 5 years ago. The Redditor is unknown as he deleted this post. But what does the word kenopsia mean? In the group where the question was posted, it says the following: the eerie, forlorn atmosphere of a place that's usually bustling with people but is now abandoned and quiet. A school hallway in the evening, an unlit office on a weekend. Vacant fairgrounds, an emotional afterimage that makes it seems not just empty but hyper-empty, with a total population in the negative, who are so conspicuously absent they glow like neon signs. I personally think that kenopsia is very similar to a liminal space, but there are also differences. Imagine a school sports hall. The wooden floor cracks under your footsteps, the air smells of dust, and the silence feels heavy. This is kenopsia. It's the eerie, almost sad feeling of being in a place that was once full of life. The people are gone, but something remains. A kind of memory in the walls. You are alone, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels like there was once something here, something real. Now imagine an empty shopping center. The shutters are closed. The stores are silent behind layers of metal and glass. Soft natural light filters through the skylights. But the place doesn't feel alive, just still. This is a liminal space. It's not really familiar, but it's not unfamiliar either. It's a place that feels like it's in between realities. Nothing has happened here and nothing will happen. It is simply a space. Kenopsia is about places that had life and are now haunted by absence. Liminal spaces are about places that have never lived. They feel like they don't belong in the world at all. Both are unsettling. But today I want to tell you about kenopsia in video games. Let's see what the other Redditors have answered. Always got this feeling while playing Minecraft. Now I don't play that anymore, but I still get it slightly while playing Dark Souls. I'm tremendously late to this thread, but I get this feeling whenever I play an open world RPG that I've beaten. Most of those games, after you beat them, it spits you back out into the world to finish getting collectibles or whatever. But for some reason, once the main story is done, it always feels suddenly dead and empty. Even with NPCs milling around, it feels like they don't matter anymore. And I suddenly realize I'm the only real person there. It's part of why I never replay games or go back for collectibles or whatever after I have beaten it. When I play through the story the first time, I'm discovering everything alone with the characters. Once I have beaten it, I just feel like none of this matters anymore. I especially hate when you beat it and the game lets you keep playing from the moment before you did the final mission, because there's this like Groundhog Day kind of feeling where I know what's going to happen and I just reliving some moment before it does. I get this feeling when I play GTA 5 without any cars or people. It's disturbing how lonely it gets. Same with Minecraft without music or mobs. It's so unsettling how empty it is. I had to quit playing Superliminal for that reason. Portal 1 was the same way. San Andreas without music always did it for me. And there are many other Redditors who said similar things in their comments, and, strangely enough, the same unpleasant feeling arose in them.
Tens of millions of people do it, chat online, using the internet, sharing whatever. It becomes their own little world, a world to date that's been pretty one-dimensional, flat. But now a Boston-based company hopes 5 years of R&D and $25 million will pay off as they take chat to the third dimension, where you can be anybody you want. What DeCoste is using is a product developed by Boston-based over-the-counter traded Worlds.com, software that gives him and the tens of thousands of other subscribers like him access to three-dimensional chat.
When I describe 3D, people said, "Do you need glasses?" I said, no, it's not like the old 3D movies. It doesn't pop out of the screen. It really allows you to go into the screen. It puts you into the internet.
We create 3D virtual environments that allow communities of common interest to come into environments that are immersive and allows a person, rather than being a text name on a computer screen on the internet, to actually assume an identity in the form of what's called an avatar. And that character can literally emote, they can wave, they can dance, they can nod yes and no, they can dance Macarenas, and they can swing bats and throw balls. Also use broadband, and with Time Warner's Roadrunner, we have the first 3D utilization on broadband, and that's an immediate download of the content. So actually, if you go out and pick up a GQ this week, you'll find that in that GQ magazine is a CD with Lenny Kravitz, who's one of the Men of the Year, and World's 3D content is on that as well.
While the technology is considered breakthrough, allowing users to create beings called avatars that look and act almost any way you want them to and can talk to other avatars in different chat worlds,
in the first section, we will talk about a game that makes you feel like you're being watched. Not alone and completely unintentionally. The year was 1995. Microsoft opened the door to the World Wide Web wide open with the Internet Explorer 1.0. For many users who had a computer with Windows 95 at home, it was an opportunity to take a look at a new, limitless world. Pixelated websites, slow-loading images, and the virtual 3D chat room Worlds.com, which was newly launched on the market at the time. The game offered users the opportunity to immerse themselves as avatars in a variety of imaginative digital worlds, chat with each other and explore virtual spaces together. In the late 90s, this was a sensation. But over time, people moved on to new platforms and more modern virtual worlds. And Worlds.com was left behind. The game seems outdated today and hardly runs on modern computers. The controls are cumbersome and the graphics are long outdated. Nowadays, it's almost impossible to find anyone there. The servers are still running, the rooms still exist. But they are empty. That's why Worlds.com is called a dead game. One that has long been forgotten. So, dead games fit perfectly into this video theme. And this one seems particularly bizarre and is actually playable. Imagine that strange feeling when you join a lobby and you're suddenly the only player. Being all alone on a map that is normally teeming with players. You start in a kind of dressing room in which pictures of different avatars hang. In a mirror, I could see that I was starting as a penguin avatar. As I progressed, I found out that I could change my avatar in the game, but more on that later. In the first few minutes, I honestly didn't even notice that I was the only player online. But the longer I walked through the various corridors, the more uncomfortable I became. You have the feeling of exploring a world that has been left behind. A world that once contained different places where people hang out and made friends. But now, decades later, it's empty. This silence and emptiness, combined with these strange places, makes the game even more eerie. After taking an elevator down, I reached the bottom of the game, and as I explored the alleyways, I felt like I wasn't alone and that I was being watched. Everything in this area looked the same, no matter where I went. And as if by chance, I ended up in the so-called Bowie world through a small tunnel, a place where David Bowie fans can meet, a place dedicated just to him. When you walk through the entrance area of this club, the whole thing seems quite eerie. It doesn't seem like a place where you can make friends and have a good time together. It seems rather sad. One room further on, I found a hallway where many more names of famous musicians were signposted. Every single name is a new place, and that's when I first realized how big this online chat room must be. Little by little, I explored more and more and came across many empty rooms. It all feels so empty and somehow the same. It's as if you already know the place, as the rooms on the different levels are similar. But what makes the whole thing even more unsettling are the many buildings in the background. These grey, crooked, comic-like buildings with their large black windows create an oppressive atmosphere which looks even stranger with this red color on the roofs.
Hi, welcome to Hang. Step right through these doors to see what's happening today in the music scene.
Surprisingly, a person came up to me in the next rooms and talked to me. She was obviously an NPC, which didn't make the whole thing any less creepy. But these rooms are also empty. But you can sense that this place was once full of dancing virtual avatars, and it's kind of sad to be alone. Being alone becomes clearer and clearer the longer you explore this game. I was still alone in the city. Now I'm alone on a spaceship looking at our Earth from above. The endless emptiness of space and me. All alone. By the time I had reached the strangest rooms, I had been exploring for about 30 minutes. The strangest room for me was the birthday room. Everything seems happier here, but as if it were a fake happiness. As if it was just fake and feigned. It's a stark contrast to the otherwise gloomy world outside this room. I find that this room conveys the opposite of happy. there's a cake that stands in the center of the room. On the wall, there is the pin the tail game. Then there are two NPC clowns waving at different intervals in this yet empty room. In the next few rooms, I found out how to change my avatar. There is a category called VIPs, but you can only unlock it if you pay. In the animals category, I then changed my avatar to this teddy bear, but shortly afterwards I came across something really strange. In the people category, you can change your avatar to a human. A few different people with different character traits were photographed for this purpose. But why can I also play as a little girl called Susie? Were small children allowed to register for this game? And what about the people who deliberately sought contact with these people with the Susie avatar? Even if the game seems strange, I can imagine that this online chat room captivated many people back in the 90s. Back then, this game was revolutionary and offered the people the chance to make friends all over the world. But nowadays, it's just a shadow of its former self and seems scary. You can feel that there used to be life here, but now it's all empty. Imagine waking up in a world unknown to you. A world you have never visited before. A world that seems so mixed up that it only can be a dream. Now, let's jump into the next game. This is the LSD Dream Emulator. This is one of the strangest games I've ever heard of. Many things are strange at the first glance, giving the game a lot of variety in this infinite and expansive world. The reason why this game is mentioned in this video is not because of the numerous disturbing scenes like this one. but this equally frightening feeling of not being alone and being watched. If you turn off the background music, the game has a completely different effect. With the music in the background, you realize that the whole thing is just a game, but as soon as it's off, it's quiet, and you only hear certain sound effects that you feel the sudden restlessness and tension in your body. It's like you want to run away, but you can't get away. You start at a random location and go on a journey of discovery. In the first-person perspective, you rock around aimlessly and try to find a way out. But there is no destination in this game. The first thing you notice are the unpleasant noises you make when you walk. They become even more unpleasant when you start sprinting. After I was beamed from the start point of the first world, I landed in the middle of a kind of a village. It looks like an old abandoned village. The fog that surrounds me and the silence that you have after you turn off the background music make the situation even more uncomfortable. After a short exploration tour, I was then immediately beamed into the next world, but in this case, I had arrived in the same strange village. Only this time, the fog was green. On the way, a strange large figure ran past me, which I followed at first. Then, on a bridge, I heard a sound that was supposed to remind me of a stream. But this same repetitive sound seemed to me like a bad copy of a calming stream. It seems unnatural. Shortly afterwards, I arrived at this face, which showed me a Chinese character and then disappeared. The next world I was able to explore was like a huge indoor playground. A playground that would be great fun for children to play in. But the silence, the fog in the background, and the constant being alone create an atmosphere that I wouldn't have liked to play in as a child. And here too, you can find strange, unnatural things happening here. Before I was beamed into the next world, there was a disturbing cutscene of a little boy eating hot dogs with a knife and fork and a glass of wine next to him. When you arrive in the next world, it intentionally looks like a kind of club, similar to one from worlds.com. If you then go further, you came to a strange tunnel that stretches out like a labyrinth. This time, even the footsteps sounds different than usual. The longer you walk in this tunnel, the more it seems endless. Even through the red mist that lurks in every corridor, you can never see the end. No matter which direction you decide to go in, you have the feeling of getting lost. And again, you have that feeling of being alone, forgotten in a dream that never ends. But then strange noises appear and figures jump and spin in circles. These then teleport me further in the next empty world. This time I came back to a village that was similar to the village from the beginning, but there were still differences. This village consisted only of these wooden huts. All the huts looked the same and had barricaded windows. Something bad must have happened here, because otherwise it wouldn't be an abandoned village. In the next world, we explore a new village. Once again, we are accompanied by fog, but this time in white. The houses are different to those in the abandoned village. They are bigger, brighter, and somehow inviting. Almost as if someone might still be living here. But when you enter them, they are empty. No matter which direction you go, these houses also seem as if they are all the same. They all have one thing in common. They are empty. The LSD Dream Emulator is a game in which you explore an eerie world of emptiness. As you play the game, the eerie fear of empty spaces is awaked in you, and you have the feeling of being watched. In addition, the graphics, the background noises, and the chaotic world create an atmosphere in which you believe you're not alone, even if you know you are. It feels like a kind of dream, a kind of memory. It makes you feel like there was once something here. Something real. Personally, I have always preferred multiplayer games, because the strange feeling of loneliness in any single-player game haunted me. Now, we come to a single-player game that doesn't really belong in this video, but it does anyway. It's about the game Super Mario 64. Many of you will probably have already come across a creepypasta, a Mario 64 iceberg, or a video about various myths. In 1996, Super Mario 64 was released for the Nintendo 64. The game revolutionized the way we experience virtual worlds. You had free movement, dynamic camera movement, an open game structure, and it was the first game that provided the springboard for Nintendo into the 3D platforming genre. The player controls Mario through Princess Peach's castle and various fantastical levels in order to collect stars and defeat Bowser at the end. That sounds to me like the perfect game for children. And at first, the game seems like an ordinary Mario game. But then, when you play it,
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
the game starts with a video sequence in which you see Princess Peach reading a letter she's wrote to Mario. This is followed by a cinematic shot of a flight around Princess Peach's castle. Dramatic intro music plays in the background until a green pipe comes out of the ground and Super Mario jumps out. And then silence. Apart from a few chirping birds and crickets that you hear in the background, the game feels so empty right from the start. The game gives you an unsettling atmosphere and makes the whole thing seem eerie. After entering the castle, you hear an unsettling sound and a text appears that reads: "Welcome, no one's home. Now get lost and don't come back." The whole thing ends with Bowser's eerie laugh. If you then walk a few steps further, you will find yourself in the central room of the castle. From there, you can enter different missions and worlds through various doors. What immediately catches the eye are the walls, on which you can see trees, clouds, and the sky. The floor is covered with a chess pattern and the stairs are covered with red carpets. But if you take a closer look at this room, it looks like a kind of liminal space. When you enter the room for the first time, it doesn't seem as you would expect. After all, Peach's castle defines a kind of boundless space. A place that allows us to jump into other worlds. When you enter one of the rooms, they are empty. Apart from a few paintings hanging on the walls, these rooms are completely empty. And the strangest thing is that you have to jump through these paintings to get to the other worlds. The idea that the creator Miyamoto had of jumping through paintings and discovering new worlds reflects exactly this feeling of curiosity and wonder, but it could also be interpreted differently. There are theories that claim that the paintings could be portals into dreams or repressed emotions. For centuries, paintings have been seen as a mirror of the soul, emotions that have been frozen, so to speak. And so, you might think that when Mario jumps through a painting, he breaks through the surface of the mind and dives into deeper levels of his psyche. Some games were inspired by Miyamoto's childhood experiences. He grew up in a rural part of Japan, and as a child, he often explored forests, caves, and small lakes. This served as a source of inspiration for games such as The Legend of Zelda. But what childhood experiences inspired him to create Super Mario 64? The different floors, the closed-off areas, the basement, and generally this loneliness that runs through the whole game makes a trauma-like experience resonate. Regardless of what you want to interpret, I think this game reflects the kenopsia in video games very well. Because you feel like you're being watched through the camera movement. Because it is Lakito who flies behind Mario with his camera and films him. You can't see Lakito, but you can feel that you are being watched. And basically, we are watching ourselves.